Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome you all to the last session of the Faculty Development Program. I deem it my pleasure to extend a warm welcome and also to introduce our resource person, Dr. Abhishek Appaji. Participants, please note, feedback link will be mailed to you at the end of the session. Please fill and submit it before 6 p.m. E-certificates will be issued to the participants in a week's time. It's my privilege and honor to introduce you, Dr. Abhishek Appaji. Abhishek Appaji is working as Institutional Coordinator for R&D and Assistant Professor at BMS College of Engineering, Bangalore. He's a graduate of Massachusetts Institute of Technology Global Entrepreneurship Bootcamp specialized in New Ventures Leadership. He obtained his Bachelor of Engineering in Medical Electronics with university rank from BMSCE, Masters of Technology in Information Technology, and a Masters of Engineering in Bioinformatics from University Visvesvaraya College of Engineering, Bangalore. His PhD was in Mental Health and Neurosciences from Maastricht University, the Netherlands. Abhishek is a senior member of IEEE. He was the chair of IEEE Young Professionals Bangalore section during 2017 and 18. Currently, he is a joint treasurer and site chair of IEEE Bangalore section from 2019, treasurer of IEEE TEMS Bangalore chapter and YP lead of India, webmaster, MD chair for IEEE PS Bangalore chapter, and advisor for IEEE EMBS BMSCE chapter. Abhishek has received various grants from Indian agencies like DST, DBT, BIRAC, and from abroad. Abhishek has also worked as research associate in the Center for Nanoscience and Engineering, ISC Bangalore. He has 2 patents filed in medtech space. He has more than 50 international national journal publications and conferences to his credit. He has been a part of more than 80 plus invited expert talks in various conferences, forums, and events. He has renowned laurels, including IEEE International Best Paper Award in Malaysia, MGH Camtech Jugatathon Awards, Best Nodal Coordinator Award, Gandhian Young Technological Innovation Award 2016 at Rashtrapati Bhavan, President of India House, New Delhi, Elderly Care Hackathon, the Netherlands, winner of Class 5 Massachusetts Institute of Technology Global Entrepreneurship Bootcamp, IEEE MGA Young Professional Achievement Award, Art and YP Achievement Award, etc. We are indeed very happy to have you here, sir, for the last session. I hand over the session on to you. Over to you, sir.
Yeah, thank you, ma'am. Just a second, I'll start.
Sure, sir.
Okay, let's start. Yeah, good afternoon, everyone. So this is Abhishek here, and thank you for joining. I get to know this is the last session, so expecting 100% participation because all of you will be excited to know about your feedback link certificates and how you can take your work forward. So having said this, one question before we actually start off. In the audience, if anybody had attended my session before on the same topic, if not this other topics, but I want to know on the same topic about writing proposals. Can you just put on chat window saying yes, no? So I get to know there are almost like nearly 100 plus participants. So how many of you have attended my session? Okay, so it's good to know many of you are telling no, except one who has said yes. So yeah, fine. So I get to know the pulse that most of you have not attended, except maybe a couple of them. So for people who have attended, I'm really sorry. This will be repetition of the session. And the topic itself is very niche topic. So maybe you have not attended my session. There may be something overlap with the sessions which is already done by somebody else. And but let me spend more time on question and answers if you guys have. Then we can go ahead and you know answer them rather than just talking about it. So how will this work is, so today I'll be talking about my experience and all those things about funding and as reviewer, as well as a lot of other things, and then we will go to the next on how do you write a winning proposal. So why me? I actually manage the R&D activities at BMS College of Engineering, Bangalore. So I'm institutional coordinator. So managing PhD students, funding, and so on and so forth. Anything related to research and development, I do at BMSE. I'm also a reviewer for some of the agencies like DST, SCRB, and also Karnataka Startup Elevate 100 and a few others, like even recent COVID-19 proposals and all. I have evaluated them. And the Humanitarian Activities Committee of IEEE, I'm part of it. ComsNet Association, which is also involved in funding, I'm board of that. I also work with many of the venture capitalists, angel investors, and also mentor many startups and their companies. And I've seen various applications and have good database of applications. So this makes me, uh, you know, easier for me to handle this session. So let's start with my traditional side, which I do it is, this is the uh, world map, but unfortunately the shape is a little different. So this represents the, so this is basically, this map is about the population density. So if you see somewhere here, we are in Bangalore and around. So this is more about how the population is spread over versus land. So land is different, population is different. But when you go to other places like US and all, it's totally different. And Australia has literally vanished. The population is not too heavy. But when it comes to research and development, also the investment, what we do in GDP is not that great. R&D and science and technology education is not really something very appealing in India, though Indians intellectual is really good, but unfortunately somehow this map is not that appealing for us. So traditionally the way we are doing our research is not that impactful. That's what this maps mean. But however, there are many amazing research which are happening in a way thanks to COVID. Because of that, there's a lot of innovative things happening, and everybody want to innovate something so that we can fight this huge global battle. So I would like to share my experience at MIT Global Entrepreneurship Bootcamp. So it was literally like drinking from fire hose, and we were pushed to so much of extent that we learned a lot of things on entrepreneurship. And it was more like we used to start our classes at 7 and it used to end in the 11 o'clock, 7 in the morning and 11 in the night. And we had our assignments to be submitted by 3 a.m. in the morning. So literally, we used to hardly sleep and do anything. And this was my classmates. So this picture gives you some of my certificates, and we also won the boot camp. So this is what, and then we started our own company. And this is my class, what you can see in the photo. And this was amazing time which I had, and it really changed complete perspective of what we are and how we manage and other things. So this raised me into a level of going into something on entrepreneurship, which is also very close to my heart because I work with many startups. And also my journey with MIT, it got me into further uh, being a panelist as well as speaker in further MIT, their boot camps and sessions. So this is another project which I've done with one of my students where we got the award of Gandhian Young Technological Innovation Award at Rashtrapati Bhavan. You can see many eminent scientists on the stage. They were giving us the award. But this was mainly on what we did was we got a seed money of 15 lakhs because we won the award. And what we did was we put some of the, so this is, we do something known as non-stress test the doctors do before delivering the baby. So that was done manually. But we thought, can we do it something automated so that the number of patient to nurse to doctor's ratio is very, very less. So can we do it little automation? And we did this, and now this has become a company. One of my students is taking care of this. And this is another project where we got around 50 lakhs. This was in collaboration with Nanyang Technological University and Tengtok Singh Hospital. And we developed one device to do the screening of the eye. So what it does is it will take the images of the eye from a remote place. So you are just walking into say ATM. Similarly, you just walking into a kiosk machine and then just keep your chin. It will take you multiple images. It gives you distance between you pupils. It gives you what kind of power basis of specs you should wear. Anterior imaging with his iris and posterior imaging, which is the back of the eye. So all these things it gives you. This was some of the prototypes which you can see on the screen. And finally the device used to look like this, and that has now converted into a company which is very well funded, and they're trying to raise funding. It's called Autoyos. You can just Google and check what company is doing. They have also inducted virtual reality into it so that doctors can sit remotely and do some kind of diagnosis. This is another funded project. We got around 60 lakhs from Department of Science and Technology to develop a device of X-ray device, low cost, high resolution X-ray device, mainly for, whenever a person comes to a place and if he meets with an accident, then there is no access to X-ray in smaller clinics or places which is far, or also when a person is transported from the accident spot to the hospital, can we put this inside ambulance was our main aim. So this was one of the things which we wanted to do, and this got concluded and we had transferred the technology to one of the company. And this was some of the snapshots of the X-ray room and lead shielding partition and how the X-ray device was working. Also, we filed a patent. We got some awards based on this, and so on and so forth. This is another project funded by Department of Bio. Okay, this is one of the projects which is funded by Biotechnology Ignition Grant, which is part of BIRAC, Department of Biotechnology. So you can see that the person is shifted from the accident spot inside a four-wheeler. Many times it will be auto rickshaws or three-wheelers, and his neck is not stabilized, which means that when a person is not really taken care well at the accident spot, that's the whole reason why we wait for ambulance to come. So, in the traffic like Bangalore, thanks to COVID, traffic have come down to little less, but still the traffic exists in the regular day. So this time when you're waiting for ambulance, it takes a lot of time, and by the time there may be even further injury to the patient. So instead of that, can we do some kind of a kit which will help them to transport to the place that is the nearest hospital as soon as possible? So we came up with a kit and we got around 50 lakhs of funding. Me along with my colleagues have got this. And also there is a company out of it, a spin-off, which is again trying for further funding. And this project is about to end. This is another project. So the one which you can see the cover pages of my thesis, my PhD thesis. But what we are trying to do is we are seeing the retinal vascular features, that is the features inside the retina, can it give you some directions or some kind of analysis about the person's behavior, or if a person is having psychiatric disorders? So we did that. That was my thesis. I got few publications out of it. But next thing, what I'm trying to do is to find out if there is any changes in the first degree relatives. Like, for example, a patient with schizophrenia or bipolar disorder, his mother, sister, brother, father, or anyone who are first degree relatives, if they have any kind of problem. So that's what we are trying to do. And that is also funded by DST. We got around 35 now, approximately lakhs for this. Yeah. So these were some of the projects. This was another project from TechWhip of VTU, Vishweshwara Technological University, to do something related to patient diary and using deep learning for that. Me, along with a couple of professors from Ramaya Institute and Global Academy of Technology, we wrote this proposal. It's not a huge money, but still 3 lakhs was something which we are working. Apart from this, there are many other fundings which I've got, smaller, bigger, and other things. But this was this was the one which I got for doing some really solid research work. So having said this, again, let's put our uh, fingers on the keyboard, and I want to know what is the top reason why one don't get the funding. So I want you to come, the answers to come on the chat window. Can you please type it, and I'm looking at it. So why do you think people don't get funding? So you have been attending from past 4 days, 4.5 days. So what are the reasons you think people don't get funding for? No good or innovative idea. Okay. Not good niche area of writing or not of importance. Any other answers? Lack of knowledge, innovation, or influence? Makes sense. Not writing good proposal. Popularity of the college. Yeah, that's interesting answer. Not writing good proposal. Fine. Not focused on the current technology. No publications. Funding depends on the area. Not doing enough literature survey. CV of the proposer is not strong. Popularity of PI are, I mean, it's not, the PI is not popular. Okay, that's debatable. Yeah, so keep the answers coming, but I feel all of you are right. All of you are very good. And uh, this is really nice to hear from all of you that first thing is I got confirmation that people, you are able to hear me properly. And also you are listening to me, which is good. Second thing is why we are not getting this reason is all of you are good. No collaboration, no contacts, lack of facilities, lack of resources, not good proposal, no good idea, and so on and so forth. I can see that on the chat window. But main thing why we don't get is all of you are right. But one thing which I feel why we don't get funding is you don't write it, as simple as that. So main reason why we don't get funding is we don't write it. We take things for easily. We think that, okay, without writing, people will come behind me and apply. They'll give me fund. So if you also see, ask me, I've written many proposals, maybe monthly 1 or 2 proposals I write, or at least involve in one or the other proposals. And finally, I'll end up having at least 1 proposal per year or 2 proposals per year. So why is that? Because I keep on applying. So you should also practice that. So even first proposal I started writing was for 5 crores, which was really ambitious, but I failed disastrously. I failed because my application was not good. But one thing which I learned over the years is once I start writing funding, then it's more like you write paper. Your first paper will be really bad, but as and when you go after 5th or 10th paper, your paper quality will go really good. So this is also similarly, first proposal, second proposal, you would have written some nonsense, and later for every time you would have got review and you would have changed your proposal, you would have got to know what reviewers are looking like. Even this one. So having said this, I back to your chat window before I go to the next slide is that how many of you have got something or the other funding? You can say yes, and you can also type which agency you have got from. Like, is it VGST, VTU, TechWhip, or some other funding? So please type in your chat window, what are the agencies? So people are telling, no, we haven't got it. Okay. Any other answers? KS, CST, SCRB, VGST. Okay. VGST, DBT, DST, KSCST. Okay. Okay. No, we lost in final rounds. At least you have attempted. That's really good. So somebody saying no. Is PhD degree a minimum qualification for research funding? No. I mean, I got my PhD very recently. So all those things are whatever I have shared is before my PhD, all my fundings. After PhD, I've got one or two fundings. That's it. So BRNS. Okay, so what's the count? If I see the participants count right now, we have almost 200 participants. In that, maybe around 10 people have answered saying they've got from somewhere, which means that 5% of you have got funding from one or the other place. And also there is one person who says from university startup cell or something like that. Yeah, so I mean, if you had got funding, I'm sure you wouldn't have bothered to attend this workshop, I'm sure. But still, if you have got and you are finding this, then I guess you have some other agenda in your mind. Let me help you with that maybe at the end of the workshop for any questions you have. And meanwhile, if you have any questions, please post on Q&A, because chat I'll be using for spamming for something else. And I may not be able to answer those questions in chat. So there is another option known as Q&A. Please post there and only questions so that I will be happy to answer them at the end of the session. So if you have interacted, so this is one kind of interaction which I started now, is that you got to know which are the agencies commonly we get funding for. So it can be DST, DBT, somebody told SCRB, KSCST, which is majorly for students projects, very small amount, 4,000, 5,000, 10,000. And somebody told about BRNS and SERB, DST, DBT, the same, and VGST. So 4, 5 funding agencies you got to know now. So if I were you, I would have written down those funding agencies and I would have gone to their website after the workshop and seen, okay, fine, this is something really interesting. I'll just go and check all these websites. So this is what you should inculcate whenever you are a researcher. Researcher is not just doing research, but also observing what others are doing and see if you can replicate it, see if you can go in the same lines, or see what went wrong and you don't do that mistake. So let's know what are the types of fundings we have. We have research projects, which typically all of us are interested in. And we have travel grant. So travel grants, it's good to have, but unfortunately, COVID is culprit, which has stopped people from traveling. Still, there are few people who are traveling places, but yeah, it has stopped many of them. So travel grants have also been stopped now. But we have awards, prizes, which they give if you're innovative. They give prizes and they tell them use it for your project. Institute funding or center funding, which means that they give you funding for the institute, not for individual, but to develop the institute. Like for example, AICT Margdarshan and so on and so forth. And scholarship or fellowship, you are good at something, so you can apply for fellowship and they'll give you yearly, say 1 lakh plus some funding for you to do research. Or they may also hire you and you can temporarily leave your job and then try to work on something. So these are different types. And event funding, of course. So you want to conduct some event, then usually we rely on the funding which we have got from uh, registration fee, or we'll go to our management and ask. But there are also some event fundings, especially IEEE gives some of the funding for doing events. So these are types of funding which all of you might be knowing. But where do we find? This was a question somebody asked some time back. So where do you find it? You should. So how do we work in BMSs? I have made one list of exhaustive list of links, and monthly ones or maybe fortnight ones. I sit and go to all the links and see what are the calls open, and then I'll decimate to my colleagues in BMSE. So unfortunately, we don't have a tool which can give you the fundings, all of them in one place, unlike US and UK or European funding models, but we don't have that in India. But still, the websites are pretty active now. Thanks to COVID, again, it had made a lot of people go on digital, including government. Even the submissions are now digital. So you have to check on government website. If you're planning for something in Europe, so Indo-Europe or Indo-US fundings, then you have to go to grant.gov for USA, and for Europe, your access is there. Maybe you are collaborated with some country. So I did my PhD from Netherlands. So I wrote some proposals with my supervisor still. So we go for Indo-Dutch or Indo-European Union. So that kind of fundings. Next is we also have Mendeley. Mendeley is one of the tool which is used for reference management. That is also another workshop which is posted on my YouTube link. If you are interested, you can go and check that. But this, they also have funding agency, but these are all more the international other than local Indian. So I'll give you some exhaustive list of funding agencies you can check. All India Council for Technical Education gives money, CSIR, DRDO, DBT, DST, DSIR. So these are very famous fundings, and they are rich to fund your research, but they definitely need an outcome. And ICMR, ISRO, INSA, MOSET, MIT, CPRI, all these are also another set of funding agencies. They also have different schemes. So it's not that you just go to DST and you'll find that. You have to go to which scheme you want to apply. There are multiple schemes for each one of them. So you should just go and find which scheme it is suitable and then go and apply. So we next have is SCRB. So this is also another funding agency, which few of you have already mentioned. So DST supports this SCRB board, and UGC is another one. Then Indo, fill the dash with any country you like. So you want Switzerland, you put it. You want Australia, you want Netherlands, you want US. So there'll be some of the other funding. Even just recently, yesterday also, 15 crore or something was signed between two different countries, India and some other country. So these are some of the things which is actively being practiced in India in collaboration with many of them. So having said this, there are still many other fundings you can just find out as and when you get, you can start building your list. So this is another slide which gives you the process of writing funding. So I'm sure you're familiar by now, but let's revise it. So what you see in dotted lines are something optional step, which usually you don't see in India, but in abroad they may be practiced. So many a times they tell you, okay, fill the application preliminary version. If that is selected, then they go for full version. If that's not selected, they won't ask you for full version. So first is you should identify what is the need, and then find prospective grant, develop grant proposal and budget, then prepare specific proposal, submit before deadline. After submission also you can't sit quiet. You have to still wait, and they may ask you some query, and if it is accepted, then again you have to start working, keep on reporting them, give them funding updates, saying I've completed this stage, this milestone is completed, this is remaining, and also submit a report, both financial as well as technical report, and then done with your project. Again, you start identifying new. So this is how fundings work. But let's go to the next slide, where individually I want to discuss each step. That is, how can it generate idea, finding matching funding opportunity, background research, technical portion, administrative part, and submission. So coming to idea, why do you think the idea is interesting and who cares is very important. So very important is if the idea is good, then who cares is again important. So if you are doing it, is it someone who is looking for your solution is very important. It's not that you're doing it for yourself. There will be majority of people who says your solution is very important, or your idea what you're trying to solve, many of them have that problem, that's why you're trying to solve. So how can you find that? Go talk to people around the world. I mean, you are solving, say I work in medtech space. So I go talk to a lot of doctors. I go talk to a lot of industries which is working on these startups. So that is what I try to do. And who will benefit from your work is also very important. Is it a group of people? Which community you are addressing? How many people are getting impacted? If your solution is just for maybe 10 people, 20 people, then that's not something you should be really bothered about. And if it is for large mass, then that's something you should target about. But there are few pressing issues which may be very small. For example, 3 months back or maybe January, February, if you take COVID was an issue where people were predicting it will become bigger. So at that time, that was the right time to apply for funding, and everybody will give you. Even at now, also, you go and knock any funding agency, you come up with some kind of solution to fight this pandemic. People are just, they'll roll the red carpets and give you money. Next is, are you the best person to apply? Why should they give you? Why not others? So that's also important. We'll talk about it later. Can I realistically achieve what I claim? So you should also tell them that yes, I can achieve this. People would have told, okay, I'll build a rocket in one crore rupees within 1 year. So that's not really ideal, right? I mean, you need really, and you will say only three of us are there. So nothing is ideal in those conditions. Money, it should be 4 times of what you have asked at least, and even manpower, again, it should be 10 times or 20 times more. So it's all realistically we should check if it is feasible. After that, you should find funding opportunity. As I gave you some list, find who funds such research. Each agency has different types of schemes or projects, so that is very important. So, for example, if you go, there is IDP, there is another maybe something on CSIR. So there are different schemes each one of agencies. Don't think that only one scheme. There will be multiple schemes. Scan for available calls. Keep on checking these websites. That's the only way you should do it. And if you want the money, you should do that. I mean, there are people who expect, okay, I'll sit and let it come through my email, then I'll see. No, that won't work. Be willing to cast a wider net. Keep on checking. So don't think that, okay, international grant is something I don't get it, so don't I shouldn't be trying. So my second grant was international directly. My first grant was national, second one was international. So it's not necessary that you should always follow that protocol. Directly apply for something which you think that it's very important for you to work on. Think outside the box, keep your mind open, and check what others have got. So many of your colleagues might be good at funding. Just if somebody says, hey, listen, I've got some funding and this much money, then you congratulate him and also ask him which scheme, which one. After that, immediately go back to your office and check what funding he has got. So if he says DST, which scheme, then see if he has got or she has got, why can't I get? That's a question you should ask for yourself. So next thing is match. You should match your fund idea with your funding requirement. So for that, you should see the time. What, say somebody 26 July is deadline. Within 2 days, I'm sure you won't be able to write a good proposal. That's not something you should be attempting. Do you meet the criteria is another one. Is it feasible to finish the application prior to the deadline is also very important. And the criteria, there are many different criteria. First thing you should see is eligibility criteria. Somebody will say you should have some innovation, you should be specifically writing in this field, you should have at least masters, you should have PhD, you shouldn't, I mean, it's okay if you have just bachelor's. All those things you just check. Is there necessary output is also very important. Should we check if there is any necessary output for this? For example, they'll tell you by end of it, we definitely need a patent, we definitely need one PhD, things like that. Do some background research of the agency. Go to the agency website, see what kind of funding they give. Talk to program manager or the scientist who will be sitting in the office. So if you have some queries, just call them or email them. I'm sure they'll be happy to respond, unlike you think. So there are very hyperactive people sitting in that seat and they'll be happy to help you out. But don't directly ask, so I'm applying this, give me the money. No, they can only guide you saying what may work, where what may not work. But assume panel members know nothing about your work, but you should make sure that they don't know anything, but they should be easier way of understanding your work. And don't expect panel member to be expert in your field. So that's very important. You directly start writing something without giving enough background information. You don't make them to Google something and find out that this already exists. Instead of that, you put everything in your application so that it's easier for them to understand. You also have competitors. For example, there's another college which is applying, there's another person who is applying, there is another agency which is trying to give money. So think about that, what kind of funding they have. Take feedback from experts who can tell you, yes, this is really good, apply for that, and be more prepared than them. Technical portion is very important. This is where your application has a lot of weightage. So what problem you're trying to address, as I told, and who do you think the problem, once you solve, they'll use it? Why it has not been solved till now? Why are you trying to solve it when nobody has tried to solve? Or if they have tried to solve it, why do you think that's not an apt solution? What is your hypothesis, work plan, and milestone? So how will you divide your work? For example, data acquisition, building of the hardware, then analysis, then result publication. So different work plan, different steps, and what is your milestone, and how will you measure success? So for example, I'll say I measure my success if I get one, at least 3 publications out of it, quality one, and one PhD is produced, and I get further research grant because I completed this pilot project, things like that, or patent. Administrative part, read the call again and again and again. Don't try to just neglect the call. Many a times it happens that even I have missed reading the call properly, and they said, okay, we have clearly mentioned you shouldn't do that, and you have done that, so reject this proposal. So that's why you read that call, you'll get a lot of clues, you'll get the rubrics, how they're planning to solve, and so on and so forth. Terms like required, must include, should be adhered to. Don't think that even though if they've required, you just leave it blank. Work on your budgets and other documents. And if you need external letter, people give people enough time. So if you need some letter from your head of the institution, from some other collaborating industry agency and all, give them enough time. Don't just call them. Even in my office, many of them, they come the same day. When is the deadline? 5 p.m. They come at 12 p.m. to my office and they ask, we want this letter, can you please process it? I mean, they should give sufficient time. Head of the institution may be busy, I may be busy with something, so give them enough time, at least 1 week of time to give you the letter. Submit and forget. One thing is, whenever you're submitting, check the PDF if it is correct. Some formatting issues or something may come up, and make sure that you have all of the things ready before submission, and submit before on time. And don't go till the last date of submission. So if the last date is today, don't try to submit today. At least try 3-4 days before, so that the server which is working, everybody would have been tried at that time. So don't do the same mistake. And it may so happen that your server is not responding and the time is over. So this is overall structure. So how much time you should spend for your looking for funding call is 25%. Your planning of proposal will be 25. Writing will be technical part is 35. Administrative part is 10%, and submission is 5%. As I said, administrative part is getting all the things done. You need some certificates, you need your CV, you need your college profile, you need something and all. Maybe a letter from college and things like that. Submission is just online submission, or if it is offline, postal delays, all those things you should consider and submit. So what does reviewer look for? So as a reviewer, I just made some points so that you get the perspective of what we are trying to look. First thing we see is, why does this research matter? Is there something real contribution, or is it just that they're doing because they got some crazy idea? How is the research new is, we'll check, because already people have done, but is there something delta increment which you are trying to contribute in this research community? How will the research be conducted is also another important one. In what context will the research be done? So you are doing in a context or the community for one particular context or different context. Who is involved in the research? Why we should give the money for these people? So many of the medtech projects which I submit, they always ask, do you have a clinical expert with you? So I make them copy and submit it. Then it gets success. So that's also important, who is involved. What is return on investment, which means that once the government or some funding agency investing in your project, what is that they are getting in return? Is it not necessary, I'm talking about money, monetary benefit, but they'll get some kind of product which is out, or some kind of publication, PhD, so on and so forth. How effectively the financial resources be managed, so that you can prove by your college, how transparent your college financial system is, and how transparently you have dealt with previous research projects. And that's why whenever you're applying, they'll ask, do you have previous research projects? If you say yes, then they'll ask which agency. Then they may also try to check, okay, this person had submitted, so is it worth giving the money to this person? As was there any financial resource management, some inappropriation or some kind of confusion in their funding? Usually colleges, they don't mind for funding, but still they want to make sure that you do proper utilization of fund. So budget, proposed budget should be all inclusive. For example, if you're asking for equipment, then for example, the equipment may cost 10 lakhs, but you are trying to give maybe exactly 10 lakhs, then the problem is you the transportation you wouldn't have taken into consideration, import duty you may not have taken, the GST you wouldn't have taken, or some kind of additional expenses you wouldn't have taken, accessories you wouldn't have taken. So everything inclusive you have to put, and pad little zeros to that, which means that if it is 10 lakhs, ask for 11 lakhs, because by the time funds come to your hand, there may be increased inflation in the price, or there may be something additional which you wouldn't have thought. But don't pad too much. If it is 10 lakhs, don't ask for 20, because the evaluators will also clearly know that you have padded with a lot of zeros. Research how much all supplies, materials, RA cost, everything should be there. Don't just put randomly that approximate cost. You have sufficient proof. Talk to people and ask them to give quotations, and based on that you give. You can include travel cost, because traveling is also allowed. Only inland travel, if you have many of the, if it is like Indo US, Indo Netherlands, Indo some other country, then they allow traveling from one country to other. But if it is only DST, DBT, which is just trying to give for funding here, they give only inland travel within India. So that you try to give funding for that. And whenever you give, also consider review, because you will be called for review every often, at least 6 months or 1 year once. So whenever you go for review, then they'll take the money from the budget what we have given. We won't be funding your travel. So at that time, you should consider that and include in your budget. Don't put the equipment you already have. You already have wonderful equipment. Again, you are taking because you didn't know what to buy. That's something easily people get caught, because in one place they would have asked what are the equipments you have in your lab and in your institute. In another place you would have said, okay, I want this in your budget. So they will cross verify and you may get caught about it. So what's the general split up what people have? 30% recurring, 30% non-recurring. Recurring is capital equipment. Non-recurring is capital equipment. That is some solid equipment like some machines, some equipments, and so on and so forth. Recurring is something which you keep on spending very often. For example, printer is non-recurring, whereas recurring is the ink which gets exhausted very faster. So salary is 30% you give for your research associates, for your JRF or some kind of employees you're keeping. And miscellaneous you cover in other expenses like travel, consumables, and all. There's also a part known as outsourcing. Many of them, they do allow outsourcing. Few of them, they don't do allow outsourcing, which means that you don't have expertise to complete this project, but you need to pay one of the vendor or some industry and get it done. You have the expertise, but you don't have proper equipment to do it. So you go hire someone and they'll do it for you. So that is allowed, but also there is a limitation. Not all funding agency allow. You should check that in call for proposals document. And there is also something known as overhead. Overhead is usually 10% of your funding. Depends on each funding agency. So overhead money is given to the institute where you are working for. Because to conduct this project, your institute is facilitating you with a lot of things. They may be giving you computer, they're giving you power, they're giving you equipment, AC, and all those things. So that entire overhead expenses will be transferred to your college account. Timelines, proposed timelines, you should have a better way. If you've seen, it should be something like a Gantt chart rather than just some tables, and put it in terms of quarters. If it is like 2 year, 3 years, and all. If it is yearly, put it in terms of months. And again, depending on how, so it's better to give more details if it is smaller time frame project. If it is larger time frame projects, you give details but try to split into lesser number of months. So whenever you're doing the breakup, you should justify why it takes time, and don't try to give more time. Don't Many of them also put in timeline literature review. So that is usually taken as negative for researcher. I mean, reviewers, we think that, okay, why they need literature review when they've already arrived a problem? So why should we spend money for his literature review? And they'll reject, saying, okay, no, they'll reduce your timeline, they'll reduce your money, they can do something like that. So next is, we also have events funding. So these are some of the fundings, like IEEE also gives you money, CSIR, DABT, DST, so on and so forth. They give you money for doing events. Somebody told they've got from BRNS. They also have some scheme where you can do events for this, like workshops, conferences, and all. List of travel, they give only for Air India travel, many of the Indian agencies, because the government money should go to government, and you should get a quotation from Air India to before you apply. So these are some of the agencies. Some of the warnings, do's and don'ts I want to give you before I close the session, before I take up question and answers. So one important thing I want you to understand is, you should be very careful whenever you are trying to do something of whenever you're trying to submit. Don't plagiarize or steal somebody's idea and put it. This we have seen a lot in the applications. They just think that, okay, it's okay to steal and put it. Knowingly or unknowingly, people do it. Don't do that. Previously, they were not asking or doing any plagiarism check, but now they are doing plagiarism check even for fundings. Don't overuse or abuse or misuse the technology. Why do you need a controller where you can control a lot of things from your mobile phone for a toilet? Do you really need 1 degree or 0.1 degree Celsius changes? Can you differentiate between 17 degree and 18 degree? Yes, but 17.1 and 17.2, no. So don't you overuse these technologies and use it for your things, and don't put all the buzzwords like AI, ML, blockchain, IoT, augmented reality, virtual reality, so on and so forth. These are good, but your application not need it, but you forcefully put it so that you get the money. That has become the counterproductive for you. If you just put all this buzzwords, then we think, okay, this is not really required. Why are they focusing on these things? Again, whenever you're writing for proposals, this may be true for your papers as well as your proposals. Don't just put names of people randomly in spite of no contribution from them. So you just put your HOD's name, your principal's name, your somebody's name. They are called as guest authors. That you just put that so that they are really good, they are influential. Or gift authors, they don't meet any authorship criteria, but you just as a personal favor, you just put your sister's name, brother's name, your mother's, father's, or your friend's name, so that they also get the benefit. And ghost author is someone who have contributed, but you don't put their name, like your students or someone, or your colleague who has really done something, but you don't want to put the name. Again, some of the don'ts is, you should be very careful. If it is offline that you have to send by post, give enough time so that your postal delays are avoided. But if it is online, then try to see that you send enough, you give enough time for you to upload everything. That is very important. Don't try to upload the last day, because there may be some problems in it. Common mistakes we see is incomplete application, poor writing. Poor writing, it can be in terms of English, in terms of grammar, in terms of alignment, in terms of many other things. So and people write huge sentences of 10 lines. We won't understand that. So don't do such kind of poor writing. Get it reviewed by someone so that they give you some perspective about it. Don't put too much or too little budget. They would have told 50 lakhs funding maximum, but you put maybe uh, 10 lakhs. So another 40 lakhs you don't want to use, which means that it shows you haven't read the call, or you put 80 lakhs though it is 50 lakhs. That's also not okay. You're written in hurry, wait until last minute, ignore instructions. That's why I told you read the proposals. You send fill the application with errors, doesn't fit agency mission, and same proposal to different agencies. One agency you have submitted, you are not willing to wait, you apply the same thing to others. It may so happen the reviewer may be same for both of them, so then you're then both the places you'll get rejection. Timekeeping is very important. So whenever you get a call, you get to know, try to immediately start writing it. Don't wait for, oh, I still have 2 months. 2 months will fly like this. So you'll be left with just 1 week or something, and you'll be in hurry, and you take this as priority. Don't keep till last day. As I said, complete at least 1 week before. Careful about grammar and spelling, font size and format. At least keep 12 font size. Now it's online, but if it is offline also, keep at least 12 font size whenever you're printing, so that at least people who are wearing glasses, it will be comfortable for them. Get reviewed from experts. Budget should be realistic and don't be stingy. Recycle but be warned, and be original as much as possible. Understand the funder. So we are given proper guidelines to that, saying do only this. We will be given rubrics, marks, and all those things. And you also understand the funder. How can you understand? Go to their website, check what kind of funding they have given earlier projects, what is the outcome they're expecting, so on and so forth. As I told, call those scientists or program manager. They'll be happy to help. Network with them, call them some couple of times, tell them, okay, this is really interesting, we want to have some small queries. They'll be happy to answer. Submit much before deadline. You may also get feedback if you submit like 15-20 days before. They'll say, okay, you still have 15 days, do this correction and resubmit. Somebody can help you. Don't expect reviewer to be expert in the field. I've told you this. Know the culture of funder, follow the instructions carefully, assessment criteria, treat the application like argument, and present with confidence. Use the appropriate disciplinary concepts and methods, which is very proven in those fields. Don't, for example, somebody wrote a proposal saying they'll use some kind of probe which they'll put it inside the lungs and heat it up to 250 degrees Celsius, and corona will die. So if this corona is dying, COVID-19 is dying in 250, yes, we agree. But can the person sustain with 250 degrees of heat inside his body? I don't think so. So don't give such kind of concepts. And your impact, societal impact, some of them sees the impact towards the community is what they're seeing. Yeah, this is very important slide. Many of them, they're very new to this field and they start writing proposal, they get rejected. Why is that? Because publication really counts. I have seen funding agencies, they don't do any review. If you have one or two very good publication, they just blindly give you the money. They know that yes, this person will print, I mean this person will really publish, and very good productive funding is what we will be able to give. And online presence counts. Keep your websites up to date of your institute. So whenever somebody sends, we just Google their name and check. Your college website where your name is there, that should be there. Your LinkedIn profile, some other profiles where you think people will refer, you should really go and keep it updated. Networking is key. So whenever you go to conference or any other seminars or something, at that time start networking. Don't be in silos, just attend and go as soon as it's 3:30, or have lunch and leave. But try to network with people. That's where is very important. Why people are famous? Because they network. And it may so happen that at least whenever some reviewer is there in the conference, you have networked and your application goes to him, chances are very high, and they'll remember, oh, I had met this guy or this lady somewhere, and Seems like very interesting person. Yeah, proposal also looks good. Let's give him the money. Coming to your title, it should be catchy, precise. Make sure that you have that embedded unmet need, who, where may be the solution, and reviewers don't have time. Remember, all the reviewers are busy. What they do is they just see the title and decide whether to give or not. So title should be there. Then they'll, if the title is catchy, then they'll go in depth. If title is like very traditional one, like your UG projects, then they'll see, okay, this is not interesting. Let's leave. These are few important statements. Always assume any problem were your fault, not reviewer's fault. If the reviewer has misunderstood something, then you are not clearly given in your proposal. Make sure you invest considerable work and efforts in any revisions, because you should, in case you want to revise from one agency or another, give sufficient time and revise it rather than just leaving it. So with this, I would like to finally say a very good luck for your proposal and for your career. And if you're in advanced stage, you have already achieved. Now it's time for you to bring a lot of proposals for yourself and your college. If you're in early stage, now it's time to publish and make sure that you come up with a lot of good proposals. And these are some of my coordinates. If you want to talk to me, you can follow me on all this. I'm active on social media. You can see all my links. Whatever I do, I'll be posting it here. And you can also write me an email. But before we go to the next session, I would like to take some questions so that it's easier for me to, we can spend some more time. So do we have any questions?
Yes, sir. There is one question. Is there any possibility of getting a funding for an individual project without involving any institutes, sir?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yes, there are few funding depending on, ultimately, institute also counts. So let me tell you that first. Why? Because your institutes, wherever you're working, uh, it is why we, okay, I'm getting disturbance. Maybe some, yeah, thank you. So whenever you're trying to apply for funding, make sure that you do it with your institute. Why is that? Because they trust an institute more rather than an individual. So if something goes wrong, they know whom to catch. That's why all the proposals they take undertaking from head of the institution, saying in case the PI leaves the institute, they will appoint co-PI or the co-PI will take over and things like that. Second thing is, yes, there are some fundings which is available with some of the agencies like DBT, DST and all, where individuals are allowed. But ultimately also they expect you to convert yourself into a company or go and attach with a, for example, some institutes like college or anything. There is also another, recently there is some fundings which is available like early research or mid-career research award and all. But that also you will have some people who will help you in um, understanding those things. So that is, it will help you in writing your proposal, so that once you write, once it is approved, they'll say, okay, go attach to an institute, go to IAC and attach, go to some other institute and attach. Yeah. So what's the next question?
Yeah, there is one more question. For biology people, getting technology expertise is difficult. Whom to approach in such cases?
Okay, see, one thing I am not sure if I covered in my talk, very important is collaboration is everything. Don't work in silos. So even if you see all my fundings, it's through collaboration. Either it's your students, some other faculty, some other department. So the same question I get from engineering faculty also. They say there are a number of very good journals. So in BMSC, we practice something known as they have to publish only in very good journal if they're publishing, and we give them some financial incentive also for them. So then they say, okay, we don't have very good journals in engineering. We don't have very good journals in mechanical engineering or civil engineering, they'll come out. Then they say same thing. These people say, basic sciences say, no, we are in biology, physics, chemistry. We don't have very good number of funding. So things are like that. So you collaborate with some engineering department, or you collaborate with somebody whom you think they have more of funding. So that is very important where you can think of. Next question, sir.
Hello. Yes, sir. There is, say, regarding this plagiarism check is only for the sentences and words. Whether there is any plagiarism for ideas?
Plagiarism is mainly they do it for the way you have written, not for ideas. But as a reviewer, they'll have some idea if this is something. Many a times the reviewer will give you suggestion saying this institute or this particular faculty is working on it. Go and connect with them and try to work with them. Okay, this is what they'll also tell you. So that's also important thing, but they don't check for idea plagiarism. That's all based on the head, what a person is trying. I mean, it's expertise of a reviewer. Okay.
Hello. Yeah, we can. I can take up the questions later, sir. You can proceed.
Yeah, so we have another question. I had applied for DST 6 months back. It's processed but no updates. How long does it usually take in your sites? Yeah, that's very good question. I'll not tell how long, but I can tell you my personal experience. It will be the same for all of you. So there is one of my student who had applied for funding in one of the scheme. They got, it was for 2 years, but because the money didn't come, it became 3 years. Still the money has not come. That's one. Second thing is I had applied for one funding in 2018. 2018 they sent me for defense. They called me for defense. 2020 still I've not got money. So it all depends. There are a lot of other factors also how government works based on the funding budget and all. They also say it is processed, but now the entire money is been shifted to COVID. So we should be very careful in applying. Now it may not really work the way you are thinking. So you should be a little careful whenever you are. You should give sufficient time. Yeah, also I read today morning, some kind of memes I was just looking at, they said, okay, you haven't included recent publication in the application. And they said, oh, I have submitted this application 1 year back. Things take usually 1 to 2 years for everything to set up and get the money in your hand. But there are agencies who are super fast. For example, in IEEE, I applied very recently. 27th May, I applied. 2nd June, I had money in my hand. So review process happened, everything happened. Within 1 week, it happened. So Raj, sir, if you can mute, I can read the questions and answers. Yeah, thank you. So the next question is, sir, I'm management postgraduate and I wish to apply fund for research. How to search for sources? Yeah, there are. So management, I'm not sure if there is a particular agency for that, but there are some available funding agencies for management also. You need to go through. I'm not expert in that to comment. Is there any condition that minimum of these objectives and deliverables for funding projects are? What will be minimum funding? So it depends on, again, funding agency. Which funding agency you are working with, they have their individual norms. They say how many objectives you should achieve. They will say how many deliverables. But that's why I said read the call for proposals very in detail. That will give you all the amount. And what is the minimum funding amount? Depends. Like KSCST, they give you 3,000-4,000 also. That is like maybe many of yours 1 day salary. But it's funding is funding. But there are also a few of them who will say there are also some proposals which goes for lakhs, crores and all. So it depends on agency where you are applying for. How to approach the funding agency for conducting the event? Okay, there are few funding agencies who do this matchmaking workshop. What is matchmaking workshop is if somebody is worked on, especially if it is Indo versus some other country, so Indo, Europe or something, then they do this matchmaking workshop, which is very important, where they will, okay, 1 second. Yeah, this matchmaking workshop, what they do is they try to have they'll get people fly from their country to India, and they try to do this kind of meeting where they will talk to each other, and they'll conduct some round table meetings so that you try to work and gets kind of interactions done. So let's take the next question. Is there any condition that minimum of these many objects? Okay, we have already answered that. Do funders still fund for an equipment or software? In my opinion, most of this indicate host institution. What is your opinion? Okay, that's a good question. Even I get this question from many of my faculties. Yes, funders, they look for something which is very tangible one. Softwares also, they do give money, but it shouldn't be a software which also there are open source one. For example, open source software. Like if you're planning to purchase MATLAB, then they'll say, no, MATLAB is not required. You need, you can use Scilab. So those kind of things, but software also, they do give you money, but it can't be only software, but you're not buying any equipment, then it is problem. Can you please suggest good funding for pure mathematics research? Yes, there is something known as Matrix. I guess DST or DBT, they have this something known as Matrix. So please go and check that. That will give you some kind of funding. Okay. What is your take on patent landscaping in view of project proposal review? So we, as a reviewer, we don't really see some of the project reviews for patents. But what we do expect is by end of the project, you may have patents rather than at this point of time while you're applying. But if you have patent, then that's also good. Okay, congratulations for finishing your PhD. Oh, thank you. Sir, nowadays funding agency does not provide fund for systems. How to write funding for research work? Okay, so funding for systems is, they won't give, yeah, because what we reviewers think is if you don't have one simple computer at your home or at your college and you're trying to do some research, which we think, okay, this college doesn't even have a basic infrastructure of computer, why should we fund it? So what you can put as workstation, that is synonymous to your desktop. That way, okay, fine, they need a workstation, not a computer. So that way, though we know that that's also a different way of asking, yeah, that can be one of the way of how you can work on. And what is a major thing to take care for writing for national and international proposals? So everything you should take care, but international proposal will be really tough, and you should have experience and the counterpart what you have. So usually how international proposals work is you will be from India, there'll be another person from that country. So both of you will collaborate and write it. So try to collaborate, discuss, and then write it rather than you write everything and submit it on behalf of the other party. That's one caution I want to give. I have quite a publication, but as PI, I don't have related publication, but my co-PI has relevant publication. Whether this is acceptable by panelists while funding research proposals? Yeah, this is a good question. So again, one caution I want to give. Yes, many of you have good publications. I've seen people who have 70 publications, but quality publication is what matters. People have 100, 200 publication also, but the quality is so bad that they would have paid for each of them and they would have got it published, which is really not okay. So I am coming up with one more workshop of similar kind for 2.5 hours. Sometime next month, I'll let you guys also know. You can attend, where to publish and what are the cautions and how do you really check if it is a good journal or not. How do you check predatory journals? I'm coming up with a workshop. Recently, I did it for my BMSc faculties, but I thought I'll also do it for larger number of audience. I'll let you know if you are interested. You can follow off one of my social media link and I'll be posting there. So coming back to the question, you have publications, but see, whenever we give the funding, we see if a person who is a PI has the capacity to execute and complete the project. Because it is risky to give a person. There are other funding where it is called as high risk, high reward kind of funding. It's there in SCRB. So those kind we really don't care. But if it is a funding where we strictly look at people contributing it in terms of publications is what we look. If their publication, at least 2-3 relevant publications are there, then we'll give. If your co-PI have relevant publication, that is also considered, but we also expect at least 2-3 publications from the PI. Okay. Fine. I guess OVTU. Okay, I guess I've answered all the questions. Is publication in peer-reviewed conferences accepted as publication rather than journal? Yeah, this is good question. Yeah, this is also part of my workshop, which I'll do. But in short, see, conferences are totally different. Journals are different. Conference is more like a forum where you go and discuss rather than telling your results, but you discuss your results. But in journals, you upright, you tell, this is my result, this is what I got, and I'm right. But in conference, you may be right or wrong. That's the whole point. That's why you go to good conference where I have seen conferences where people they accept all kinds of papers. You ask anything and everything, they'll be accepting it, which is not okay. There are few special topic conference. If you're working in VLSI specific conference like ITC, or if you're working on something like a very specific image processing, only image processing conference, only people working. Like for example, yesterday, even today it's going on. Yesterday we concluded SPCOM. It's organized from many years in IAC, every 2 years once. And this year we did it online, and there we have only signal processing and communication related, not other publication. So you should be very careful when you are submitting for conference. So having said that, always journal is better because you will get wider audience and the readability is more. You can also analyze what is the impact of your journal publication in good journals. Conferences, yes. So I would suggest leave the conferences to your students, your masters and bachelor students. But journals, as a faculty and PhD scholars, you should always target journals. Conferences, yes, maybe one conference per year in somewhere, just to go and interact with people rather than main agenda of publishing. That may not have that much of value. But there are few top class conferences where publishing in conference is very tough than journals. Yeah. So I guess I have answered all the questions. Then now I'll give the mic to the organizers. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dr. Abhishek Appaji. It has been a wonderful session and wonderful presentation. I thank on behalf of the college and our research and facilities team. I wholeheartedly thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, sir. Before I close, I stop talking. I want one from participants. So you have just, we just finished discussing about various opportunities. Now in the chat window, I want you to type one thing, that is, out of these, you had so many sessions, right? So, did you learn anything new from my session? Because this has been repetitive and you have been heard from many experts who are really amazing panels. Kudos to SJCE, St. Joseph College for amazing workshop they have put up for all of you. But only thing is, I want to know in the chat window, whenever you type, is there something new you have learned over the other sessions? Because I was very apprehension about it. I also spoke to the organizers yesterday. So I want to know, is there something little part new which you have learned today? Okay, keep coming. So somebody says international funding, no one else talked about motivational factors, collaboration, prototypes. Okay, so at least a sample of people are telling something new, which really gives me that, yes, thank you, so that I can deliver something over this workshop. Yes, sir, over to you. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much, sir. I request all our participants, you can be in touch with our resource person. You can mail your questions. He will be very well appreciating your questions and queries related to your publications and research proposals as well. I think Dr. Appaji is always ready to help you out. Now I request our chief coordinator of our these 5 days of webinar, Dr. Sanjay Das, to read out the report.
Good afternoon, everyone. It gives me immense pleasure to put in front of you the report of 5 days FDP. The Research and Facility Group, St. Joseph's Engineering College, organized 1 week online FDP on insights on writing research proposals and funding opportunities to research scholars, faculty, and students of SJC and other institutes from 20th to 24th July 2020 on online platform WebEx of SJC. The program was inaugurated by the chief guest, Dr. Venkateshwarlu Kharodi, Senior Principal Scientist, CSIR NAL Bangalore, followed by Reverend Father Wilfred Prakash D'Souza, Director, SJC, President of the program, Guest of Honors, Dr. Rio D'Souza, Principal, SJC, Reverend Father Rohit DeCosta, and Reverend Father Alvin Richard D'Souza, Assistant Directors, SJC, Dr. Felsi D'Souza, Librarian, SJC, and Convener, and Dr. Sandhya Das, Chairperson, Research and Facility Group, SJC, and Chief Coordinator of the program. Dr. Sandhya Das welcomed the guests, dignitaries, and participants of the program and highlighted the objectives of the program. Dr. Venkateshwarlu Kharodi, chief guest of the program, in his keynote address, stressed on various ways of writing research proposals and the agencies through which research grants could be availed, like CSIR, ICSSR, etc. He highlighted that the research proposal should have the competence and the work plan to complete it. It should also contain all the key elements involved in the research process and include sufficient information for the reviewers to evaluate the proposal. Dr. Rio D'Souza, in his inaugural address, highlighted that teaching institutes in general lag in research activities largely because of poor research proposals and lack of awareness about funding opportunities. He called upon the participants the importance of writing good research proposals, which will enable the scholars to get good funds for their work. He expressed his gratitude to Dr. Venkateshwarlu Kharodi for his consent to be the chief guest of this program and sharing his knowledge among our participants. In his presidential address, Reverend Father Wilfred Prakash D'Souza, Director, SJC, motivated the participants by saying that by the end of the FDP, they should start writing good research proposals and grab the funding opportunities available through various sources. He wished the program all success and appreciated the organizing committee members for initiating such a program. After the inaugural, a talk on writing research proposals and funding opportunities was delivered by Dr. Venkateshwarlu Kharodi, the chief guest of the program. Thereafter, the sessions were conducted by different resource persons as follows. Session 2 of the day 1 was from Dr. Rajalakshmi Chauhan, Assistant Professor, Department of Electrical Engineering, IIT Jodhpur, recipient of Early Career Research Award, on the topic Writing a Research Proposal. Day 2 sessions were conducted by Dr. Arun Mohan Eslor, Professor and Head, Department of Chemistry, NITK Surathkal, on the topic How to Write Acceptable Research Papers, Role of Research Supervisors, and by Dr. Felsi D'Souza, Librarian, SJC, on the topic Research Support Tools and Techniques. Day 3 sessions were conducted by Dr. Y.S. Upadhyaya, Associate Professor, Department of Mechanical and Manufacturing Engineering, MIT Manipal, on the topic Funding Opportunities to Startups, and by Dr. Mahadevappa Manjunatha, Associate Professor, School of Medical Science and Technology, IIT Kharagpur, on the topic Funding Agencies for Independent Researchers. Day 4 sessions were conducted by Dr. Prashant Nayak, Professor, Department of Biosciences, Mangaluru University, on the topic Biotechnology Research and Entrepreneurship Opportunities, and by Dr. Rajesh Kumar PC, Associate Professor, Department of Physics, SJC, on the topic Research and Higher Education. The Day 5 sessions were conducted by Dr. B. Satyabhama, Professor and Head, Department of Computer Science and Engineering, Sona College of Technology, Salem, on the topic Secrets to Write Publishable High-Impact Research Articles and Winning Grant Proposals, and by Dr. Abhishek Appaji, Institutional Coordinator for R&D, BMS College of Engineering, Bengaluru, on the topic Writing Research Proposals. The inaugural of the program was compared by Dr. Rajesh Kumar PC, Associate Professor, Department of Physics, SJC. The well-attended program had more than 250 participants from SJC, including invited delegates ranging from academicians, professionals from Karnataka, Kerala, Tamil Nadu, Maharashtra, Orissa, Telangana, etc. We have also received valuable feedback from the participants. This is the brief report of 1 week online FDP. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you very much for your extensive report of the webinar series. Now I request one of our participants, Ms. Rashmi, to speak a few words.
Am I audible?
Yes, madam.
Yes, Rashmi, you are.
Rashmi H, Assistant Professor, Department of ENC. And also, I'm happy now to say that I'm the branch counselor of IEEE SJC student branch. I'm sharing this platform with Dr. Abhishek Appaji. And I've seen sir growing and doing a lot of work for IEEE. So, and he has given wonderful insights today on international proposals, event grants, networking, profiling, and all its importance. So first, I would like to actually thank organizing the best workshop till now, and also the thank to all the organizers, actually organizing committee, for such wonderful commitment and the way they have handled everything, and big thanks for that. And my key takeaways, what I found felt was like those person what he said about the various proposal and tips, and why the best thing I liked about today's was the way he explained about the reviewer's point of view. That was really amazing. And various other key takeaways I cannot mention in words, like effective how to write effective proposal for funding, structure of a paper, how to apply for various agencies, which are the different agencies, different types of proposals, importance of collaboration, and what are the mistakes we should avoid when proposal, how to network, how to collaborate, various fellowship applications, databases available for biomedical research, budget writing, and a startup facility for faculty, tools we should use while doing research publication, and why importance of publishing in high index journals or SCI or Scopus Index, H Index, and all such things. So everything, almost everything covered, though there were few lapses in topics, but what was important is each and every resource person has given his or her unique insight. So that was important. So once again, I thank the college for organizing such a wonderful workshop. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Rashmi, for your wonderful feedback. Now I request Mr. Satyendra Bhatt to speak a few words about the webinar.
Good afternoon, everyone. Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Yeah. I would like to say that most of the things I wanted to say has been already told by Miss Rashmi, but for someone who is fairly new to research and who doesn't have many publications to his name, I would like to say that this 1 week long workshop on insight on writing research proposals and funding opportunities was very useful. I came into this workshop with very little knowledge on how to go about writing proposals and how to look out for funding opportunities. But I must say now that we have come to the end of 5 days, I am having a rich experience of having heard to all these eminent personalities who spoke a lot of things about how to go about writing a proposal and how to get funding opportunities. One of the interesting session for me was by Dr. Y.S. Upadhyay, who spoke about funding opportunities to startups. For someone who has been associated with the innovation cell of the college, this was very helpful. And I'm sure that whoever attended this session had a lot of learning out of it. So this is what I would like to say when I say that this is funding opportunities to startups was very interesting to me. It doesn't mean that other sessions were not. Be it the session today on writing research proposals or how to go about writing high impact research articles and the research support tools and techniques. All these things have been pretty useful to all of us. And I am sure that all the participants will agree with me when I say that the organizers of this workshop has put in a lot of effort to identify 10 eminent personalities to address all of us over the course of these 5 days. I would like to thank St. Joseph Engineering College for organizing this FDP, and a big thank you to the entire organizing team for having an array of excellent speakers addressing us over the course of these 5 days. Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir, for your feedback as well. Now I request our convener of these webinar series, Dr. Felcy D'Souza, to give a vote of thanks.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Distinguished dignitaries in the panel, heads of all departments, organizing committee members, resource persons, and dear participants. Good evening to you all. It's my privilege to be here to extend the vote of thanks on this auspicious occasion. First and foremost, I would like to thank God for His abundant blessings on all of us for organizing this program successfully. The 1 week online faculty development program on writing research proposals and funding opportunities began with a formal inaugural on the first day of the FDP with a keynote address delivered by the chief guest, Dr. Venkatesh Vallu K, Senior Scientist, CSIR NAL, Bengaluru, which has truly inspired our participants and has already kindled the spark of creativity and innovation with all of us. We truly felt that no other person could have been as appropriate as Dr. Venkatesh Vallu K to deliver this motivating speech to all of us. In his absence, I thank him for his precious time, presence, and for his inspiring message to all of us. We have been fortunate enough to be backed by a team of very motivated and dedicated leaders at SGEC. I would like to express my gratitude to our visionary at SGEC, Director, Reverend Father Wilfred Prakash D'Souza, for his encouragement and support. In his absence, I thank you, Father. I also place on record my gratitude to our Assistant Directors, Reverend Father Rohit D'Costa and Reverend Father Alvin D'Souza, for providing all the logistics towards executing this program successfully. Thank you, Fathers. I can't thank enough our principal, Dr. Rio D'Souza, for his valuable advice, motivation, and support in conducting this FDP. In his absence, on behalf of the organizing committee members, I thank you, sir. Well, an event like this cannot happen overnight. It requires planning and constant follow-ups. I take this opportunity to thank Dr. Sandhya Das, Associate Professor, Department of Electronics and Communication Engineering, and Chairperson, Research and Facilities Group, and coordinator of this program for grant planning and executing this program meticulously. Thank you, Madam. On behalf of our management and organizing committee, we thank all the resource persons for accepting our invitation and sharing their knowledge, views, and experiences among the participants of this FTP on all the 5 days. Thank you, one and all. My heartfelt thanks to all the members of the Research and Facilities Group of SGEC for their constant support in making this event a memorable and successful one. Thank you, one and all. Thank you very much for all the participants for being the partner in the success of the 1 week online FTP. Because of your active participation in all the sessions, the FTP was a grand success. We hope you all have some take home at the end of this FTP. Thank you once again for your great interest and participation. I thank deans, HODs, and faculty members of all the departments at SGEC for their support in organizing this event. We are very grateful to our support at SGEC team, especially Mr. Rakesh Raju, Mr. Satyendra Bhatt, Assistant Professors of MCA, for the technical and press and media support. Thank you, sirs. We are also thankful to Ms. Jacinta Corderio, the graphic designer, for her support. Thank you, madam. Participants, please note, the e-certificates for participation in this FTP will be provided within 1 week. With this, I once again thank you all for being present here for this valedictory program. Be safe and have a great weekend. Thank you, one and all.
Thank you. Thank you very much, ma'am, for convening this wonderful event for 5 days. And it is total of 10 webinars. It has been a record in the history of St. Joseph Engineering College, having such a wonderful webinar for 5 days. And it is because of the hard work of our research and facilities team. There are phases on the screen, but there are many phases off the screen continuously working behind the screen. So I thank them very much because of their efforts. These event could be possible. I once again thank the management, the director, assistant directors, the principal for their wonderful support and cooperation throughout. And because of that, this event could be possible. Thank you, sirs and fathers, for your wonderful support. I thank the whole team, the team of research and facilities team. Everyone has worked equally. That's a wonderful thing. Thank you very much once again. I thank all our treasured participants. You have been with us since the beginning, from the day one till today. It's a great participation. Great to see you all for a wonderful cooperation from your side. Thank you very much. I thank Mr. Rakesh and Mr. Alistair, Mr. Satyendra Bhatt for their support. They have been with us throughout for 4 or 5 days. It's a great of them. Their support is really a treasured one. Thank you very much for your support. Then I thank all concerned with this webinar. It has been a great journey for 5 days. We really enjoyed this webinar series. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for all your support too.
Thank you. Yes.
Yeah.